Hey guys, welcome to Muscle Memory. My name's Malcolm. Now, you've seen her on the channel before. She's done a few interviews with me, and I greatly appreciate it. I feel like she's the greatest in-ring women's wrestler of all time, Deonna Purrazzo. How are you?
Oh, I'm great. I don't know how I could follow that intro up.
I mean, like, it's just facts, though. I mean, I'd be hard to find anyone else that's better than you in the ring, but how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm very good.
That's amazing. Now, a lot of stuff's going on with you in pro wrestling right now. You recently just made your Ring of Honor return back in the fold with AEW Ring of Honor. What does it feel like to be back on Ring of Honor television?
Yeah, it's crazy. I didn't even realize that that match I had with Ashley Vox was the first ever pure women's rules match ever. And
Yeah.
so it feels Ring of Honor always feels like home to me. I feel like I bleed Ring of Honor blood, like I'm a Ring of Honor kid through and through. But to have that and to continue to be making Ring of Honor history 10 years since women got brought back to Ring of Honor feels incredible.
Absolutely. Now, this is your first time back in the fold since I believe February, as far as like the AEW umbrella. Not going to
Mhm.
ask exactly how come you haven't been on television, but what does it feel like to be back as far as like in that aspect? Or, have you had a conversation with Tony Khan as far as like, you coming back into the fold now?
Yeah, I think that they just announced this pure Ring of Honor Women's Pure Championship title tournament. And I think that there was always an idea maybe for me to be in that. It was just a matter of like when that was going to happen. So there was some conversations had about like we're just waiting for this and the belt and things like that. But I feel like I'm just at the point of my career where I just want to wrestle. Win, lose, draw, tell a good story, not like I just want to be utilized and wrestling. And if there's anything that comes out of that, even better. But I think the key with any kind of TV company, televised product right now is just consistency. There's so much wrestling every single week. And Monday Night Raw happens on Monday, and then Tuesday we're rolling over to SmackDown, and then Wednesday, so it's really hard to keep interest if you're not featured 24/7 basically. And so for me, I just want to keep consistent. I want to keep consistent with the AW audience. I want them to get to know the virtuosa because I feel like even though I'm a year and a half in, they still don't necessarily understand all that I'm about. And whether that's on Dynamite or Collision or Ring of Honor, I'm just trying to take all those opportunities and capitalize on them.
Definitely. Like, where do you feel like there is like that disconnect as far as like fans trying to understand exactly what your character is? Because I feel like maybe like in a time like TNA, they had a little bit more time to develop like who you were and what you were about. But where do you feel like the
Yeah.
disconnect might be with like AEW fans right now?
I think for me, it started when I came in. I think I had such a phenomenal debut. And it was in New Jersey, and my family was there. And, I'm from New Jersey, so we got that like easy, not necessarily cheap pop because I'm from there, but you know what I mean? Like it was a built in, knew we were going to have a great reaction. And so I think after that is when it got difficult because we didn't explain to the AW audience right away what the word virtuosa meant. And I think that's something I've struggled with my entire career. And so I had a lot of different ideas from day one of how do we introduce this character to a brand new audience because TNA, while now is exploding in popularity, at the time was still really niche, and not every household in America has access TV. And I didn't want to neglect that fact that the casual AEW fan might not know who I am and what I've done and what I'm about. And unfortunately, there just like wasn't time for it, and we never got to explaining what it meant to be the virtuosa. And so that's a large part why back last summer, this time when I was feuding with Thunder Rosa and we were working towards our Texas Bull Rope match, I went and I had a series of 3 vignettes made on my own, and I produced them and I had a videographer edit them and stuff, and I gave them to AW, and I said I still don't think we've explained to the audience why they don't like me. And there's only so much interaction and so much of this I can do to get them to boo me, but they need to understand from like a character standpoint what I'm about. And so I kind of took that upon myself to do. But then that was almost a year ago, and we've not had like consistent follow up yet. So I think that for me, it's just that consistency that I've not had, and a reason to really hate me.
Definitely. And this is definitely the perfect time for you to jump back into that fold with All In coming up. There's a lot of attention on AEW, especially there just in Arena, Mexico, and that show went so well. Do you
Yeah.
see yourself still a part of this Pure Women's Tournament? Because originally Supercard of Honor was supposed to be in New Jersey, but then it got moved to Arlington, Texas for All In weekend. Are you still a part of that tournament?
Yeah, as far as I know, as of Saturday, I know that there was scheduling conflict and things like that, but I think they're trying to actively work on when this tournament will happen and when we'll film it and things like that. So, as far as I know, I am still in the running to become the inaugural women's pure champion.
And I think you should win it for sure. Now, could you explain what a pure rules match is for someone that's like just trying to figure it out?
Yeah, so a pure rules match basically is a wrestling match, but there's just certain confines to it. So, for instance, you cannot necessarily punch in the face. The first punch is a warning. The second one is automatic disqualification. In a typical match, rope breaks aren't counted. You can have, infinite amount of rope breaks. In a pure rules match, you get three. Um, and you'll see in Ring of Honor, like under my name, there'll be three little tick marks, and so those go away as if I was to use my rope breaks. On the fourth rope break, if I was to grab it a fourth time, it doesn't count. So in theory, you could be submit still while in the ropes. It's Ring of Honor, so there's a 20 count on the outside of the ring. Um, Things like that. It's just a little bit more nuanced and aids to a more pure rules style.
Certainly. Is there a favorite like pure rules match of yours when you look back at Ring of Honors? Because your Ring of Honor has a very vast history. So is there a favorite pure rules match of yours?
Yeah, oh gosh, good question. I can't think of one off the top of my head, and I'm gonna get crap for that on the internet. I
Um,
think that I didn't necessarily grow up like a Ring of Honor fan. So I still, in instances like this, I'm like, oh, I gotta go back in Honor Club and watch Ring of Honor because
yeah.
I didn't even know really that Ring of Honor existed until I was like in it, And so I like missed a really big chunk of history. That yeah, I'm still playing catch up to.
For sure. There's like really good like Samoa Joe and like CM Punk matches. I think they had a pure rules
Oh,
match.
Daniel Bryan,
Yeah,
or Bryan Danielson, I apologize. You know what I mean? Like
for sure.
I Nigel McGuinness, like all of those people who I've drawn inspiration from throughout my entire career. Now I know that I can go back, that I'm working in these confines and like really, really pick that apart.
No, certainly. Why do you feel like you should be the first ever pure women's championship winner?
Yeah, well, I think that I'm the virtuosa. And so pure rules is kind of what I do best, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I also, think that it'll be interesting with my history in Ring of Honor, like we've talked about. This July, so just in a few weeks, July 25th will be the 10-year anniversary since women were brought back to Ring of Honor. And that was the first match I had with Mandy Leon in Baltimore, Maryland.
Yeah.
And we were on the pre-show. We didn't know what we were getting into. We were just like, if we have a good match, maybe they'll give us another one. And so that was just about 10 years ago. And that's crazy to think about. I mean, I'm a former Ring of Honor Women's World Champion. I am the only person to defend the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship in the main event of Dynamite, and I didn't even work for the company at the time. So, I think that in just those last 3 years of my career, I really carried Ring of Honor on my back in a really unknown time for the company, and I think that again, I bleed this company's blood. I'm a Ring of Honor kid, and that's where I got my start. And I just want to see the company flourish. So I think all of that combined, regardless of my wrestling style, qualifies me to potentially become the first pure women's champion.
No, absolutely. Also, I was like front row for that match for you and Manny Leon in Baltimore.
Really?
Yeah, I went to all the shows out there. It was like the William J. Myers Sports Pavilion or something like that.
Yeah.
I love that place. That place was
Oh,
amazing to
that's
go to,
awesome.
for sure. Now, AEW also announced that All In they're gonna have a Casino Women's Battle Royal, and you did quote tweet it when Tony Khan tweeted out with just like an eye emoji. Will we see you
Yeah.
a part of that?
Yeah, I mean, I would love to. Like I said, I just want to be involved, regardless of what the stipulation is, regardless of what, the venue is, or the pay-per-view is, or the TV is. I mean, I was not a part of All In last year, and that was really upsetting to me. I want to be a part of All In this year. I think that I deserve to be a part of All In this year. And if we're going to, kick off the biggest show of AEW's calendar year, but then also kind of like the start of our new cycle,
Yeah.
being in the mix of that is huge. And so if I want to become a factor in this women's division in the next cycle, then I need to be a part of this match. On top of, it's for a world championship opportunity. And if I want to wrestle Mercedes Monet, or if I want to have a rematch with Tony Storm, which I've never had yet, I need to be in that match, and then I need to win that match. So it's huge implications for the rest of what our new calendar year will look like.
Absolutely. Who do you think wins between Tony Storm and Mercedes Moné? Because that's a huge match. I mean, Mercedes
Ooh.
has too many belts, some may say, and then Tony has the belt. So who wins that match?
Yeah. Oh gosh, I have no idea. I think that both women bring such different things to the table. And it's kind of like it could I honestly think it could go either way. I think Tony's been playing the mind games right now, but Mercedes is putting in the work in the ring. And so I feel like it's going to come down to like the luck of the night. I couldn't bet on either of them right now.
For sure, for sure. Now, there's a big match that was announced recently by GCW. You're going to be taking on Lena Black. It's going to be New Jersey too. GCW hit him up. She's obviously coming out of the WWE. You've been inside the WWE before. Now you're with AEW, been part of TNA. What do you think this match will be like for you, with the collision course and the history that both of you guys kind of have together as far as where you've worked?
Yeah, I'm excited. She tweeted a couple weeks ago that she wanted to wrestle me, and like I said, I just want to wrestle. So I'm down to wrestle everybody and anybody for any company anywhere in the world. And so I know this is a huge match because she has so many eyes on her right now. And I think when you get released and the first 3 4 months of what you do post NXT life, there's always so many eyes on you, and there's again so many implications to the work that you put out there. And I think she's really it's a testament to how much she loves wrestling and how much she wants to say like, no, I'm still in this, and I maybe deserved better, or I want to make a better spot for me somewhere else. And so I'm excited to be a part of that journey. I'm excited to talk to her about that journey because it was something that was so deeply personal to me. And I just think it's in New Jersey, so that adds a layer of excitement to it. But I'm excited. It's been a long time since I've been at GCW, and I'm still the women's champion of GCW. I never lost the belt, so she's coming into the Queen's world right now, I guess.
I'm, I'm so glad you mentioned that because like that's something I want to talk about for a while. GCW like at one point did have a women's championship, and you're technically still the holder of that. Do you have the belt on you?
Don't. And you know what's so funny is Brett and I were just talking about that when we booked these shows, where he was like, "Where's the belt?" And I was like, "Maybe Damien has it somewhere at the school in a box somewhere. I don't even know what it looks like." Um, so I just think Brett needs to make a new one, and we need to do like a huge women's tournament to crown the new GCW Women's Champion.
I love it. I love it. Now, I were remiss to not talk about the last time I just saw you. That was at House of Glory. You took on Elektra Lopez, Carissa Rivera. I wasn't like in the ring with her because that was her first ever match outside the WWE since she had joined the company.
Yeah, again, it's just has like so much weight to it, and I'm so excited to be a part of all of these women's journeys. Carissa has like an extra thing to it because she's also a member of Team Adams, and she trained with Damien, and it's so funny because that match, which I didn't realize we have never wrestled before, so that was the first time we ever had a singles match together, any type of match together outside of training. And even then, when she started at Team Adams, I was starting at the Performance Center, so we kind of crossed paths. And so again, like I just think that all of these women have chips on their shoulders. They want to prove that they're someone in women's wrestling, and regardless of how their journey somewhere else panned out, they still have a stake in this game. So to be a part of that's really, really special.
For sure. As someone who's worked for all major like North American companies, WWE, TNA, now AEW, what do you feel like the difference between the locker rooms of like NXT versus an AEW versus TNA?
Yeah, I mean, I can't speak to NXT now because it's been over 5 years since I've been there. I obviously Jordan Grace is one of my really great friends. She's there. I really love Fallon Henley. There's some girls. Ariana Grace is great. Like there is some girls that I'm like, oh, those are good people. And so I imagine it's a good locker room to be in, but I don't know firsthand. But I think that locker room is always going to be competitive because you're training with these people, you're working with these people, you're in Florida traveling with these people 5 6 7 days a week sometimes, and so it creates this environment of like who's going to get noticed and who's going to get that next spot, and you're constantly working for it. Um and then I just feel like hands down like the TNA locker room is the best locker room I've ever been a part of. And I know we've probably talked about this. I've talked about it in numerous interviews while I was in TNA and since. There's just this real camaraderie that is so rare. And I think it stems from TNA always kind of being that underdog and that land of misfit toys, and we all always had a chip on our shoulder. I don't think anyone's lost that. I always say we like I still work there. Because Steve Steve does, but I think that everyone at TNA has always had a chip on their shoulder and a point to prove. And so it just creates this really fun environment where it's how can we push each other? How can we be more creative together? How can we come together as a family? And they always celebrate people's birthdays. And, they threw Steve and I a little like pre-wedding party because a lot of people couldn't come to the wedding, and we threw baby showers and housewarmings and always had fun together as a family. And so that's the best locker room I've been a part of, where I felt the most comfortable and the most like calm, because then transitioning to AEW, I think is probably a lot similar to that NXT locker room, where it's like it's highly competitive. There's only so many spots for women, and if it's not you that week, you want it to be you. And I think that's where the internet kind of gets on me specifically about like, oh, she's not happy, oh, she's throwing digs at the company, oh, she's this. And it's like, no, like, of course I want those opportunities, of course I want it to be me, but I'm not upset that it's anyone else. Like, I'm not a competitive person in that way, where I'm like, my hard work will get me noticed eventually.
Waffle House or Denny's?
We've already had this conversation. It's Waffle House.
I thought I only asked you your Waffle House order.
uh I'm pretty sure you asked me Waffle House or Denny's, but it's
Did
Waffle
I?
House.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Well, I'm sorry. Well, yikes. Waffle House or IHOP then?
Waffle House.
Okay, good. All right. Well, you know what?
But the
I'm just
thing
happy.
is, and maybe we didn't talk about this, is it kind of depends on the Waffle House you're going to. Like, I've been to some gross Waffle Houses that I'm like, I can't. I also like my eggs really well done. I like them almost burnt. Like, watery eggs is not for me.
Mm-mm.
I'm a very picky eater,
Yeah.
where I can't eat it because I'll start gagging. And so I've had a couple Waffle Houses where it's like, this egg is raw on my plate. And I pass it along to Steve because he'll eat it.
Oh, have you ever seen a fight there?
Um, I don't think so.
Really?
I
So
don't think
no
so.
food in a show, just the food. Wow.
Just the food,
Oh
yeah.
man, you're going the wrong times then. You gotta go later at night.
But there has been like I've been to a couple like after a Ring of Honor show,
Yeah.
2016, 17, like, where there's like cops outside and I'm like, "Ooh, what could happen? And why is there cops outside Waffle House?"
We know why. This is
Yeah,
what's
we
going
know
on.
why, but like I don't want to be here when they're needed.
Yeah, that's understandable. Well, I appreciate the time you give me, Deonna. I always appreciate the time you and Steve always give me. I really appreciate it. Where can I find you on social media? They're not already following you.
Yeah, everyone could follow me at Deonna Purrazzo.
There it is. Guys, my name's Malcolm. This is Muscle Memory, and we're out.
We going up like 1,000. I'm a flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. We going up like 1,000. I'm a flex just like a muscle man Malcolm. When it just like 1, 2, 3. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel, this will squeeze. If you like the channel, this will squeeze.